Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Sexy When Men Cook. I'm here with my daughter, Madison, and we're here at the Slice Kitchen in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today we're going to do marinara. This is something that everybody should know how to make, marinara sauce for spaghetti. So we're going to actually put together a quick little marinara here that anybody can do anytime. You don't need to have any special ingredients for this. Anything at your grocer will be just fine. So what we're going to do is go ahead and turn on our stove here. We don't want to get that too hot, but first thing we're going to do, Madison, why don't you grab me the onions there. What we got is just probably about a quarter cup, half cup, third cup of chopped onions. Basically bring these down into a translucent state. Just enough to kind of make it worthwhile. We'll set that over here. Now we're using avocado oil today. You could use olive oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil. It really doesn't matter. Any oil will be fine. I like this avocado oil. It's really quite nice. Okay, and then we've got some garlic. And this is just some minced garlic, and we don't need a whole lot. You can do a lot of different types of, you can do this with wine, without wine, doesn't really matter. I really kind of like cooking with wine. I think it gives it a more robust flavor. This is just a very simple varietal red wine, nothing major. So we're just going to go ahead and pour that in here. We're going to use it all. Thank you. And I'm going to be using this ladle again later, but I'm just going to get that just to stir that around just a smidge. And we're going to let that reduce for a few minutes. I've usually made all my own pasta. Today we're going to actually be making pasta that you can buy at the store. Perfectly fine. It takes a little longer to cook than, say, homemade pasta. This is Harmon's angel hair pasta, and they've got spinach, a garlic, and a tomato flavored pasta. It's been infused with flavor. Today, for our purposes, we're going to be actually making a bucatini. Now, the thing that's fun about a bucatini is it's a thick, hollow spaghetti. So, I mean, if you could literally use that as a straw. It's got a little hollow hole through the middle of it. And that serves a couple purposes. Number one, it serves the purpose of a bigger noodle. Number two, it actually will hold sauce inside the noodle itself too. So depending on the type of sauce you're using, if it's a really thick sauce, it probably won't matter, but like a marinara that we're making today, will get absorbed into that noodle and inside the hollow part of the noodle. So bucatini is really good. If you go to a lot of restaurants, Italian-based restaurants, a lot of them will have bucatini noodles, and that's what we're going to cook today. All right, let's go back here to our sauce. It looks like we've, Madison, how's that smelling to you? It's pretty good, huh? So for the rest of this, like I said, we do a lot of bottling of our own tomatoes every year. It's just something that we do at our house. We try to bottle as much fresh produce as we can. So we're going to actually be using our homemade, home-bottled tomatoes. And these are just basically a basic Roma tomatoes, what we've got in this jar. We do hot house, we do vine. Heirloom tomatoes are great. You could really do anything you want to as far as the type of tomato. And in fact, let's see, this is sun-dried tomatoes. You could even do a sauce out of sun-dried tomatoes. You just reconstitute them, blend them up a little bit, and you've got a nice hearty tomato. This will actually double as tomato paste, which we're using today as well. Okay, we're just going to literally pour this whole quart jar into this. I'm going to put that over there so I don't splash. I've been known to splash a little bit from time to time.
A little bit.
A little bit. I know my cute little wife will always get after me because I have a tendency of getting not only everything inside the pot, but all around the stove area, the walls, the floor, and on a rare occasion, if I forget to put the lid on the food processor correctly, I've hit the ceiling. So check your appliances before using them. This is Pomi, this is just finely chopped tomatoes. I mean, you can get pureed, chopped, stewed. Again, if you want to start with fresh and stew this all day long, you can get fresh tomatoes, quarter them, throw them in a pot, throw a little wine in there, let them stew, mash them down, use an immersion blender, and you'll get a great marinara sauce. I mean, this is really about as basic as it gets. So we're going to do a can of our peeled or finely chopped tomatoes. You can get crushed tomatoes as well. Would you throw that away for us, please? And the whole trick here is once you get this going, and then if you wouldn't mind, spoon that tomato paste. I'm going to get this out of the way. Spoon that tomato paste in. A couple, just do it around, yeah, perfect. And this tomato paste, it'll actually loosen up as it gets in with the liquid and you stir around, it warms up a bit. It'll actually break down quite nicely, mix in. And it'll also add as a thickener, because what you're doing is you put a lot of water or moisture in this already with the tomatoes and the canned tomatoes, and if you use bottled tomatoes or just fresh tomatoes, there's a lot of liquid inside of that. So the paste helps thicken it up, also helps with a little bit of the flavor. Now the herbs, this is really an Italian herb blend. This is simple. This is thyme, rosemary, oregano, and then I've got some parsley too, but this is just your basic Italian herbs. And we're just gonna be pretty lavish with this. We're not gonna get crazy, but we're gonna probably do a couple tablespoons in an amount this big. And we want that aroma, we want that flavor to simmer into that sauce. So I don't mind if it takes 20, 30 minutes to simmer the sauce. All right, good, that's going nicely. One last touch that I like to use in my cooking, my daughter's already going for it. We do a lot with chilies and peppers in my home. I've grown them in the past. We buy them from local farmers markets. We'll dry them, we'll smoke them, we grind them. We have them about every way possible. These are just good old-fashioned red jalapenos that have been dried. And all I'm going to do is I'm not going to crush them up or anything. I'm going to cook them whole. So I'm just going to throw a couple of these in there whole. Of course, now they're lower end of the Scoville unit as far as heat goes, so we're not expecting a lot of heat out of this. We're just expecting that to build on that flavor and let that continue to develop, and it smells amazing. That's the one thing about cooking is it smells pretty good. So, all right, let's let that do its thing and start working on our pasta. Okay, so this is doing quite nicely, and we're just going to let that simmer as we cook our noodles. And typically, I'll tell you, you can look on the back of these packages and it'll tell you approximate cooking time. It really depends on you, whether you want your noodles to be more al dente, which is more commonly preferred. But if you don't want it more al dente, well, you can just cook it longer. Typically, most of these, like I think you're saying anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes for al dente, 14 if you want it a lot softer. So it just depends on where you're at elevation-wise. Just read the package. It's really straightforward. I always get asked about what is the appropriate amount per person. So I'm going to show you a little trick on that. You take a thing of noodles about the size of, if you were to stand that on a quarter, like if you were to bunch that together and put that on top of a quarter, 25-cent piece, that would be the appropriate amount of pasta per serving. Now, here is the appropriate and correct way of cooking pasta. Simply taking your servings, however many there are, placing it into the pan like so. That's it. That's pretty much, she's laughing, but that's pretty much it. You know, what happens is people will get their pasta and they go, I don't have a pot big enough for my pasta. My pot's only this big. And so they will do this. And when you do this, think about every chef in the world going, oh, they don't like it when you break it and then put it in. So this is a pasta spoon. And you can move that around a little bit, get that down in the water, kind of work it slowly. You don't need to break it. This is pasta. It's going to get really limber really fast. And once it's down in there, you just get your timer going and know that you've got at least 12 minutes, give or take. If you want it softer, more time. If you want it more al dente, be careful about having it too al dente. You don't want to break your teeth on it. So I'd say just read the package. On average, about 12 to 14 minutes is pretty standard for this type of a noodle. So we're gonna let that cook, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and plate this, and we'll see how it looks. And we'll be right back. Thanks. Pasta's done. We got a strainer. I'm gonna have to turn my back on you for just a minute. This is the fun part, because this is rather hot. Ooh.
Do you want another one?
No, we got it. There we go. Fantastic. All right. And typically, so that you want to stop the cooking process, you just want to run a little cold water over the noodles. That helps stop the cooking process. So now really it's just a matter of plating. All right, so we'll start with a little bit of pasta here. And here's a little trick with plating this stuff. You want to kind of spin it so it creates a little bit of a twirl. These are such heavy noodles, though it may not work. Here, you get it, you're tipping the, oh. A little bit of sauce. And let's get a little bit of cheese. Just love this. This is Reggiano Parmigiano. Romano. This is Romano Parmigiano. Romano Parmigiano. And just for the heck of a little bit of color, I'm just going to sprinkle that with some parsley. Nice green parsley. Look, it's the Italian flag. And that is pasta with marinara sauce. Very, very simple. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. And thanks for joining us at It's Sexy When Men Cook. Look forward to seeing you next time. Say goodbye, Maddie.
Adios.
Bye-bye.